There is no community that will be able to top what the Valley has done for me tonight. Not one. And to June and to Priscilla, thank you so much for those songs. I don't know how many statewide candidates or any candidate in the world get special song tribute to them, but I feel mighty special tonight. So I want to thank you so much to Patty and to Senator Joe Show, as I finally call him. Joe Show, he is. And he is leading our Senate caucus, and he's doing a tremendous job, and we have been together for a long time. We've been doing a lot together. And Senator Joe Show and I used to sit right next to each other, and he knew as soon as I got revved up, all my papers would fly to his side, and he was down there picking them up because I was getting going on that Senate floor. And he never hesitated to be there for me. He's been there for me. As he said, we started off basically at the same time in the General Assembly, and now to see him ascend to leader of the Senate caucus, you all should be so very proud to have such a great leader in Senator Joe Show. To Ronnie, and Patty named all of the committee members, so I can't do you justice, but I just want to say to Ronnie and to our young lady, who made the cakes? Was it Barb? Oh my God. When Patty told me Barb lost her job, but she still made cakes for this event tonight. That is so much heart and soul. I want to thank her. The dessert is so good. The only thing that I can eat. So I appreciate all that she has done, all that everyone has done. Chairman Beatrice, I heard you strong arm quite a bit for this. Don't have to strong arm you, but I want to thank you so much. So all the thanks to all of those of you who are in elected ministry, I appreciate what you do. Just know that you are in a ministry and that there are people who need leaders who want to serve people. They need leaders who like people. It is time out to have folks in Congress, folks in the state legislature, folks in statewide office, folks who run for office just for their own self-edification. It is time to have people elected to office who actually like people. That is the major prerequisite, to have some compassion and empathy. We have a lot of folks who in politics who have a doctrine of scarcity. And it's only scarcity when it comes to working class and middle class folks, but if you are fortunate enough to be one of the ultra wealthy, there's plenty for you and not enough for everybody else. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm sick and tired of poor and working class folks that have to get the crumbs from other people's tables. There are more of us than there are of them, and we're going to continue to stand up and fight for social justice and equality for all people. I am not running for a seat. I am running for a cause, and that is unfettered access to the ballot box. One woman, one man, one vote. And it doesn't matter to me who people want to vote for. I just want them to have that access. As we reflect on the 50-year anniversary of President Lyndon B. Johnson signing the Civil Rights Act, when we think about folks like the Reverend Doctor, because we forget the Reverend part, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who had a moral call in this country, and despite the odds, he decided that it was vitally important to fight for social justice and equality for all folks. And not only did he do that with civil rights and the Voting Rights Act, he stood with workers. He stood against the Vietnam War. He did things that were not popular. Is that my phone going off like that? My phone got a song going too, so I appreciate that. And then there are so many unknown folks who fought for the struggle, for all of us to be in this room together. And listening to Congressman John Lewis today, and he was talking about the fight for equality for our gay, lesbian, transgender brothers and sisters, is that is the next move within the civil rights movement, that none of us are free unless we all are free. We have to stand up for the collective rights for all people. Civil rights is the order of the day. So I'm really full tonight. This campaign is really about people power. And when Patty said this is about the little people, this is not about the little people. You are the big people. You are the people that make a difference. And I know what Patty meant by that, because I too am tired of going to events where only people with fancy titles, people who only care about their next office instead of caring about the next generation. But I want you to know that you will have in me, continue to have in me, a leader who is clear about why I was sent to Columbus. I was not sent there to be cute, although I can do that quite well. And I was sent there to stand up for people who, but for my presence and the presence of others, would not have a voice. I will tell you that although there are only 10 Democrats in the Ohio Senate, we take it to the Republicans every single day. Yes, we do. You know, it is a sad day that 50 years since the March on Washington, 50 years since the signing of the Civil Rights Act, that we find ourselves in a familiar space. A space that is not healthy for any of us. And never did I dream that I would see the day that the battles that have been fought by our foremothers and our forefathers, that we would have to revisit those fights in terms of workers' rights and voters' rights and women's rights. What kind of folks would try to suppress the vote? Because there's one thing about our great nation, our founding fathers, they certainly were not perfect. There were not a lot of diversity at that first table, no doubt about that. But one thing we can say about these United States of America is that we have been a nation of progress. And to have people elected who would dare to take us back in time is unacceptable. Our democracy is on fire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we can't stand idly by and let folks turn this upside down. From the Supreme Court with Citizens United, money is now speech, to the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, to the new ruling, McClutchin, that the aggregate amount that people can give, now they can just give and give and give.
Right.
If we are not careful, and I want you to follow me on this, I want you to take what the Supreme Court has done and match that with what is happening in legislatures all across this country and trying to scale away the voting rights of everyday people like you and I. If we are not careful, if we don't wake up, this will be an oligarchy, government by a few, or plutocracy, government run by those who are wealthy. This is not the kind of country that the framers had in mind to form a more perfect union. Generation after generation after generation is something that we can be proud of in this country. But in this day, in this time, in this state, in this nation, there are people with the people's power who seek to destroy the very fabric of government. Government was designed for us to do collectively what we cannot do as individuals. There's something beautiful about being called a public servant. And I don't understand why we continue to elect people who hate government and hate people. I just don't get it. We got to get them the hell out of there. So yeah, my hair is on fire. At all times, my hair is on fire. And I know many of you who have seen me on national TV, and I do thank God Almighty for giving me voice. Who would have thought a little girl from Cleveland, at a time such as this, a young lady that was born to teenage parents who were married, they were very, very young, and it just didn't work out for my parents. So I grew up the majority of my life in a single mama household. My mother did the very best that she could with 7 children. She died at the age of 42 years old. Aneurysm burst in her brain. And I was 22 years old and my baby sister was 12.
My Lord.
But I had a conversation with God. I just couldn't understand why that was happening, but I was determined that if God would give me strength, that I will become a cycle breaker for my mother's memory. And although she never lived,
Okay.
thank break down like this. I'm just so full with everything that's happening. Cry pretty. Thank you for that. Although my mother never lived to see her eldest daughter graduate from college and sworn into any office, I started off on the local level of government. The local level of government is the most important level of government because it's the government closest to the people. She never lived to see any of that, but I know that she is in heaven saying, "You go, girl, and you keep fighting for the people. People like me, you keep fighting for." So I am unashamed when I go to Columbus to take it to people who believe that people want to live in poverty. I am a safety net child, along with all of my siblings, because not only did my mother die at the age of 42, she died on the system of welfare. She died with not a life insurance policy and no money in the bank. I was 22, my baby sister was 12. But sure as there is a God, I know that He will always make a way out of nowhere. Who would have thought that a young girl from Cleveland would be in the Ohio Senate today and running for Secretary of State today to protect and expand access to the ballot box? Who would have thought? So if you want to know why my hair is on fire, it aggravates me to see members of the General Assembly pass bills or introduce bills to drug test welfare recipients. I think about my mama who tried to do the very best that she could, but she was not addicted to drugs. Everybody doesn't run the race at the same pace. We should be happy to be a safety net nation. When did being poor become a crime? So I decided to introduce a piece of legislation of my own. I think Senator Schiavone is one of my co-sponsors. We introduced legislation to drug test the members of the General Assembly. Randomly and regularly. They can't get their pay unless they take those tests. Because why would you marginalize already poor folks? I'm a college professor as well, and on the first day of class, I usually ask my students what do they want to be when they grow up, and I have yet to have one of my students say the following: "Professor Turner, when I grow up, I want to be poor. I want to be on food stamps. I want to live in public housing, Medicaid. That is the life for me." Everybody has dreams. They usually say, "I want to be a doctor, a carpenter, a lawyer, a police officer, a firefighter, a CEO, maybe one day run for office," but nobody wants to be poor. Everybody doesn't run the race at the same pace. So it pains me that in the state of Ohio, tax breaks for the wealthy, tax increases for the poor, and in the House of Representatives on the congressional level, they went on Christmas break and had the pure, unadulterated gall to wish people Merry Christmas without extending unemployment benefits to 1.3 million people. 44,000 of them live in the great state of Ohio, but they said Merry Christmas. They are heartless. My hair is on fire. Then they would not, they separated the SNAP program from the Farm Bill. Millions of people go to bed in this country hungry. I know that by way of experience. When my mother couldn't make our food stamps stretch, I know what it's like to go to bed hungry. 7 babies she tried to support. Not to care about our fellow human beings. To cut that SNAP program is morally wrong. They are heartless. And on the economic side of the scale, the farmers benefit. The economy benefits when people can eat. They are heartless. In the greatest nation on the face of the earth, we have elected officials who have lost their ever-loving minds. But we can change things today, Mahoney. There's an app for all that ails us, and it is called elections. And in 2014, we can elect all 5 of the constitutional offices that are running, from the governor's office to the treasurer's office. We need to change things. We need to vote for Ed Fitzgerald, because guess what? He would have vetoed the hell out of Senate Bill 5. We need to elect David Pepper as the Attorney General, because he would stand up to the Secretary of Suppression and say, not on my watch will I be your attorney as you appeal all the way to the United States Supreme Court to take away the last 3 days of early voting. And how about my sister Connie Pillett? She will make a fine treasurer and make sure that she keeps up with the state's investments. And John Patrick Carney as auditor. We have a group of 5 that are running because we actually do like people. And we want to serve people in this great state. But as one of my brothers from Ask Me Council 8 once said, that what can be gained in the workplace can be taken away at the ballot box. The House of Labor understands that, and that is why we have to get our brothers and sisters in labor and without labor, those who are part of a union and those who are not, to vote their self-interest. Vote Democrats. And there is a correlation between the bread box and the ballot box. If we want better, we need elected officials who get that their job is to lift people. Booker T. Washington once said that there are 2 ways of exerting one's strength. One is to push down and the other is to lift up. We need more elected officials who understand that their job is to lift up folks, not to push them down. My hair is on fire at all times. So I am running this race because for all the great folks that you want to elect, from a school board member to the President of the United States, all of that comes by way of elections. And Ohio is the swing state of swing states. And while I'm on that particular point, there are no off-year elections, and we got to stop saying that. There are people in this room who are elected on the local level of government. They don't want to hear us talking about their election is less than electing the President of the United States, because your mayor, your school board member, your judges, your township trustees, your county folks, and your state legislature has more impact on your everyday lives than any president of the United States, no matter who he or she may be. We're going to get some girl power, ladies. It's coming. It's coming. So every election, there's an issue or a person on that ballot that has the capacity to help us make this world a better place. So we're going to do this, and we're going to make history, and I want to thank you all for standing with me to be able to make this history. I am very, very overwhelmed tonight. I just can't even express how humbled I am to have so many people spend their Thursday evening, is it Thursday? Yeah. Okay. Spend their Thursday evening with me. I will absolutely never forget this, and when I am being sworn in, Valley Mahone, you better make sure you're going to be right there with me. I'm going to do a special swearing in right here in the Valley, right here in the Valley. Right here in the Valley. Now we got to do for ourselves what we did for this nation. In 2008, we delivered President Barack Obama. The eyes of the whole world were right on us. In 2012, we did it again. I remember the first debate. Y'all remember the first presidential? Yeah. Chairman? Oh, yeah. I was out publicly at an event that had about 150 young people, them 35 and younger folks. My husband came up to me after about 20 minutes. He said, "Babe, we got the bus out of here." I got to bed that night. Madam Gelada, I couldn't get up the next morning. 2 days later, I was on Ed's show. Ed said, "Senator Turner, I'm going to ask you again. Will Ohio deliver for President Barack Obama?" I straightened myself up, sisters and brothers. I looked dead in that camera. Chairwoman, I said, "Ohio will deliver for President Barack Obama." Reverend, I went to the green room and I got on my knees and I said, Lord, your daughter's selling all kinds of whoop tickets on national TV. We have to deliver for President Barack Obama. And we did, Ohio, and we did. And so my point of sharing that story with you is that as we delivered in 2008 for this nation and we re-upped our delivery in 2012, we must do for ourselves what we have done for this nation in 2014. This is the most important election. We can take back the great state of Ohio. We can do that and elect people who actually like folks. So I'm all fired, I'm ready now. No, seriously. So, now you have given me energy, and you know when you got a little adrenaline, all that pain goes away. But this is real, and you know I could have run for my Senate seat one more time, and I would have loved to still been there with Leader Schiavone, but I did hear the call to run for this office. I'm leaving nothing on the table.
Got your back.
And we are going to win. Thank you, Chairman. Got my back. So three things I want you to remember. Number one, that the creator of this great and vast universe has given us two hands, one to reach forward and one to reach back, lifting as we climb. We are our sisters and brothers keepers. The greatest thing we can do is serve all of us. If we put a little extra on our ordinary, we will get this job done. Number two, and most importantly, we can't ask other folks to do more for us than we are willing to do for ourselves. We are in this together. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, gay, straight. This is about us, we, you and me, us, and future generations of Ohioans. When young people tell the story of 2014, I want them to be able to say that the folks in the great state of Ohio stood up for what is right, for what is just, and what is good, that we beat back folks who want to suppress the vote, beat back folks who don't care about women, beat back folks who didn't care about workers, that we cared more about the next generation than we cared about ourselves. That is what we do. That is why I am a Democrat. Democrats don't have to have binders full of women. I am a Democrat because we stand up for folks. I am a Democrat because we believe in social justice and equality for all. I am a Democrat.
I bang your head, man.
But last thing, now y'all know I got to close with Grandma now. I can't leave Grandma out. And Senator Schiavone said he now knows where money is kept. He just learned from me. My grandmother hailed from the South, and she only had a third-grade education. She couldn't read or write, but Grandma could count her money. Yes, she could. And she kept her money in the Southern Ladies Bank and Trust with a handkerchief. I asked Grandma, you know, why she kept that money there. She said those were the only two suckers she could trust. What does it take to be successful in this thing called life? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are the three bones, the wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. She said the wishbone will keep you hoping and praying because hope is the motivator and the dream is the driver. The reason why we do what we do every single day is we hope and we believe that tomorrow will be better than today. She said the jawbone will give you the courage to speak truth to power, or in the words of Dante, the hottest places of hell are reserved for those who in times of great moral crisis choose neutrality. We have a great moral crisis on our hands when we have 400,000 folks in the great state of Ohio unemployed or underemployed, but all the majority can do is worry about women's wombs and try to suppress the vote. We have a great moral crisis on our hands when we have policymakers who have it within their authority to make some crooked paths straight and to lift people who refuse to do it. We have a great moral crisis and we cannot be neutral. But Grandma said all the hope and wishing and talking in the world doesn't mean a thing unless we have the supercalifragilistic expialidocious bone. And that is the backbone, because the backbone will give us the courage to continue to stand. And after we have done all that we can do to stand, we have to continue to stand no matter what. Do not get weary in well doing, because as Dr. King once said, truth, crushed down to the earth, shall rise again. You are that truth. We are that truth. The everyday men and women of the great state of Ohio are that truth. God bless you, Mahoning Valley. I love you. We are going to win this race. Thank you so very much.
How about Run Nina Run? Mr. June, I have two sons, and you have to know I'm